Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, August 29th. Alexandra Lopez, immigration attorney here. It's been a while since I've done a weekly, or in this case, bi-weekly immigration news recap. And it's because the news was just hitting so often and so much that it was impossible to do a recap in a video, and we needed these daily updates. That being said, I'm going to try resuming at least the more I don't want to say important stories, but the more general immigration news again on Fridays. So let's start with what's happened, in this case, the last 2 weeks in the immigration world. First, USCIS has broadened immigration application reviews to flag anti-Americanism. Now, this is across the board for essentially any benefit request, visas, green cards, and it is a screening of what USCIS is calling anti-Americanism and also anti-Semitic activity. Now, there are no clear standards, so officers have a lot of discretion. This is going to be difficult to anticipate and enforce or challenge enforcement from an immigration attorney perspective. Second, naturalization applicants will face greater scrutiny under the expanded good moral character standard. Now they will look beyond criminal records and weigh positive contributions such as community service, caregiving, steady employment, as well as negative behavior that could be legal but questionable. This goes along with the neighborhood checks that were just announced, and that USCIS officers now in their discretion have the ability to conduct neighborhood checks for naturalization applicants, opening the door for widespread bias and prejudice in these applications, because what your neighbor next door has to say about you could be influenced by their own prejudice and bias. And so these two, good moral character and neighborhood checks, go hand in hand as kind of discretionary measures or discretionary evaluations that USCIS officers can take into account when deciding whether or not you should be accepted for citizenship in the United States. Next, the Trump administration has announced that they're going to review all 55 million U.S. visa holders for possible violations. I do not know how this is going to happen. They do not have the resources for this, but it hasn't stopped, past announcements of kind of unattainable goals in the past, and I anticipate there's going to be some additional screening. I do think this is going to be people from certain countries and certain types of visas, but we will see. They're also immediately halting work visas for foreign truck drivers, alleging safety and labor concerns. Since January, the U.S. has lost 1.2 million foreign-born workers. So our economy has lost 1.2 million workers in agriculture, construction, hospitality, obviously driving prices higher. This is from a new report from Economic Insights and Research Consulting, a consulting firm. Huge detriment to the economy, right? And I do not blame these individuals for leaving the United States. Sometimes perhaps they were forced out of the United States, but this immigration crackdown is having direct and indirect effects. Next, the Department of Justice has authorized appointing temporary immigration judges who have absolutely no immigration law experience. So me, I have 15 years experience. I will now be presenting my cases in front of judges who have zero immigration law experience, and I'm supposed to rely on them to make the right decision. This is going to be a huge burden, obviously, on attorneys and on pro se litigants that have to now explain the law to judges, right, who have zero experience in this field. Finally, as I said yesterday, Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, confirmed increased military and ICE presence in Chicago starting next week. They did not disclose the specific enforcement actions. He just confirmed operations will ramp up after Labor Day in Chicago as well as across the country. He specifically mentioned additionally New York, LA, Portland, and Seattle. This is punishment for being sanctuary cities for refusing to work with ICE, and what he is calling public safety threats being released into the country. Notwithstanding the fact that, of course, there are higher crime rates in many Republican-led cities and states, but that's that. Anyway, it is noon, Friday, August 29th. That's the weekly, or in this case, bi-weekly recap of immigration news for the last 14 days.